Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us for our Last Word on Spurs end of season awards special. I've got the majority of the Last Word on Spurs squad here that have been guiding you through therapy. Well, brilliant moments of the season. There's been some catastrophes, there's been enjoyment, there's been transfers. We've been there, you've seen it, we've done it. And on Last Word on Spurs, you're sharing us here the end of season awards. We've got on our panel tonight, to my right, the wonderful Jason McGovern, who can't wait to delve into what's been a crazy week for Tottenham already in the transfer market, and we haven't even opened just yet. Joining him to his right, a man who absolutely loves the transfer window in Jamie Brown from the Daily Hotspur. Bottom of my left-hand screen, just below me, I've got the wonderful Frankie Major, who's been telling it as it is all season. My co-host bang in the middle there, the wonderful Lee McQueen. And to our right, a man who's got a single out right now that is absolutely smashing it in the charts. Catchy as hell. The wonderful Anthony Costa from Bluey's back with us on the Last Word on Spurs. And as I said, it's a season review. Thank you so much as always. I think there's already 500, 600 of you joining us here on a Sunday evening where the season's finished, but we keep on moving. A quick shout out, I must say, to our sponsors of tonight, Beavertown. We had a great chat about them off air just a couple of seconds ago. We, of course, were there all together in the, before the Arsenal game, during it and afterwards. Some trying to get back in after and failed epically. They've been doing some wonderful end of season, season away days. We've seen Anfield, United. A lot of us have been down there, like Frankie Major, John Wyndham, Jason McGovern, Costa's been down there, Jamie's been down there. And I say we've been enjoying their company, great food, great company. Beavertown, make sure you check them out through the summer. But let's bring in the crowd, the boys that have made this season possible on the Last Word on Spurs, as amongst our wonderful listeners, contributors to the Last Word on Spurs. Jace, lovely to have you back on. How have you enjoyed this end of the season?
Oh, it's brilliant to get that fourth place, and particularly in the way that we did it, to smash that lot down the road. And then that last day where everyone was saying, oh, it'll be Spursy to cock it up or whatever, to just rip Norwich one and score 5, and Sonny get that share of the boot was fantastic. So looking forward to the show tonight, and absolutely no transfer talk whatsoever.
Can't promise that, Jace. Can't promise that. I can promise that I won't bring you involved in the transfer talk. Just can't promise there will not be any transfer talk. Let's go to the co-host of the Last Word on Spurs, who potentially, depending on how these next couple of weeks goes, you might be seeing more of him potentially. Got the wonderful Lee McQueen. Lee, how are you, mate?
Mate, getting some solos going on, mate. With you out of the country, we can all run riot on Last Word on Spurs. So that's what we're doing over the next couple of weeks. We're going to have cricket on here. We're going to have golf on here. We're going to go all sorts of stuff. Me and Jace running riot. No, absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm, as the bull, I don't know if you can see that suggests, I'm in Espana now. Missing Crackers and missing John and missing Chris Cowlin. But obviously they've got other things to do tonight. So, it's the 6 of us and we're going to go through the season. And what a season it's been. Absolutely loving it. I cannot wait for Jason to get tucked into transfers.
Yeah. I mean, there's always Jan's asking the question: will Jason be the host of the transfer room? Is highly doubtful, Jan, just based on my experience with Jason over the past 7 or 8 years. He couldn't wait to get away from transfers, and that's hence why Jamie came in as a very, very good, capable and able replacement in terms of the transfer rumour mill. Joining us also on this show, listen, guys, having back on, we've got the wonderful Anthony Costa from Blue. Currently got a great single out. And how are you, mate? Have you back on?
All right. Nice to see you, boys. It's so good to be on the last show with you, lads. Obviously, coming from what Lee said, missing John, Chris, and Crackers, but I'm sure we're going to delve into what's been an up and down season, but ended on a high. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, I love being on the show, and I love you boys. The banter is just ridiculous, and I can't wait till next season.
Yeah. Beats ITV2 catch-up, wasn't it? First game of the season, you had a go at me for the putting you and Crackers on the Europa Conference League version, if you remember.
Oh yeah, the ITVB2 one. Yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah, the Pacos de Ferreira.
Me and Crackers got demoted big time.
It's funny, McQueen only does Sundays. Only did Sundays and only when the big games come out.
He does the big games.
We're here for the Europa Conference League. Yeah, I'm afraid I think this man got a couple of those Conference League nights and he's probably killing me now for it. Frankie Major. Frankie, thank you so much for coming back on, mate. How are you?
Oh, good. Again, fantastic way to end the season, particularly after the first few months of dross and utter depression that we had, as we were a laughing stock. And now we've turned into a serious team because of one man and that man is Don Antonio Conte. What a turnaround, boys, and just lovely to be back on the show on a positive note, considering where we were at the end of last season. Also, it's nice to have had a full season back in our fantastic and beautiful stadium, which is the best in the world. Had some great memories towards the end of the season. Obviously, beating Arsenal was up there, but lads, as I say, I do believe now, looking at the trajectory moving forward of this football club, particularly from where it's been over the last few years, it's the most positive it's been in a while. So onwards and upwards for the Spurs, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I'd like to bring him back in. Listen, we know we've gone us through the summer transfer window as accordance, as rightly so. We've got the brilliant Jamie Brown over at the Daily Hotspur. Jay, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, thank you, Ricky. I mean, it's been like the most unbelievable kind of fortnight for Spurs, really, hasn't it? Obviously, we've had some very, very special nights being as Spurs fans. Obviously, haven't quite seen that trophy recently, but I think just the optimism around the club at the moment. Obviously, we've had optimism, but there really genuinely feels like this could be a special time for Spurs. Obviously, it started with that win over Arsenal, securing that 4th place spot. We've got Champions League football again next season. That's something to really look forward to. And then, of course, we've got this news that the club are sounding like they're going to really go for it and really back Antonio Conte. But, you know, you see what he did this season with a squad that wasn't quite his own. So next year, when he's got a squad that's much more in his image, I just think it's going to be an incredibly exciting time for Spurs. And, you know, I was watching back games today of past Champions League matches. I think the Barcelona match where we drew 1-1, fantastic occasion. Obviously, some of those knockout games as well. So, you know, having Champions League football again is going to be unbelievably exciting. And, hopefully an exciting Premier League campaign as well. But unbelievable how excitement there is at the moment at Spurs. So really looking forward to next season and, of course, the next couple of weeks in the transfer window.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's been a seismic week for Tottenham, really, hasn't it? I mean, when you look at the fact that obviously last weekend the club securing Champions League football, there was that doubt over Antonio Conte's future. It's pleasing to say that we record a week on and it feels like Conte is happy. Spurs are already making their moves. And I think, Jason, to start with you, let's kind of recap the last week because Spurs obviously securing Champions League football. Then the big news breaking over the course of kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was that Conte's agreed to stay on as Spurs' head coach for next season after a meeting last Friday in Turin with Fabio Paratici. How important is that, Jace, this early on now? We get the manager's future clarified and we can hopefully move forward to have a really progressive summer.
Well, I didn't have any worries that he would go in the summer. I think everything we've kind of been fed. Lots of people talking about it. That even Daniel Levy's program notes or whatever, the indications are there that they would try and back the manager. We saw them do it to a degree in January. So I just felt that a lot of it was unnecessary noise. I think getting that Champions League spot makes a huge difference to him as well. I think, you know, once we secured that, I had no doubts that he would be here next season. And I think a lot of it is kind of media must present a story. So the constant questioning of him, you know, you can bet your life the very first press conference he gives for the first pre-season friendly, he'll still be asked, will you be here at the start of the season? It just seems the narrative that goes with it. But no, I fully expect him to see this season. And as Jamie says, it's exciting times. It would appear that for the first time that we'll really put success on the pitch and not just chase a fourth spot. It finally appears that we want to achieve something more than just that. So exciting times ahead, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's come on to you, Lee. I mean, listen, it's been a crazy, chaotic season, 12 months of Last Word On Spurs. I mean, we've been going for the last 5 or 6 years here. I think it's fair to say that isn't it lovely, Lee, to be ending the summer with some real clarity on where we stand with the manager and already the club flexing their muscles in the market. What have you made, Lee, of the last week in which has been, I would say, one of the, again, I use that word seismic for the club in the way they've gone about their business very, very on air, obviously at the back end of May as we approach early June.
Loving it, Rick. Seismic. I'm loving this stuff. Look, I mean, it's been phenomenal for the last 2 weeks. We absolutely ruined Arsenal. And I've said this on a couple of shows since, but I still have to repeat myself because I think the crowd in the North London derby were absolutely outstanding. And it just elevated us. I genuinely think it was a situation that got us across the line. You know, we got in their heads and they couldn't handle it. And they couldn't handle Newcastle. And we did our job. I mean, I think I saw a stat. The Blue Book is here. The Blue Book is in Spain with me, viewers and listeners. Don't worry about that. I saw a stat that I think we kept 4 out of 5 clean sheets, 4 clean sheets in the last 5 games of the season, which again is a testament. If you can't win, don't lose. All these little nuggets of information that we're getting through, drip through from the likes of friend of the show, Ali Gold, and all of the other journos that actually interview Conte, and the stuff that comes out of the camp. And I just think it's all them little bits got us to the point of getting over the line. And we didn't even struggle getting over the line, lads, listeners, viewers. We absolutely ruined it. So I think it was fantastic. And then since then, I mean, I don't even know what's going on. Like, let's be honest about it. We're making signings before the window's even open. I mean, what? I can't understand that. Obviously Jamie from the Daily Hotspur, he will give us the lowdown on that. But I mean, I am mega excited about Bastoni. I know we've even seen it in the comments already as well. So listeners, obviously loads of viewers are already putting in the comments about Bastoni. A very, very strong possibility that Bastoni's going to come. We've already, looks like, pen to paper and contracts agreed. Fab already said, here we go on Ivan. And obviously Forster's coming in as a backup keeper as well. So I don't know, Rick. Honestly, I don't know what's going on. Like, Anink putting in 150 million, Conte staying, signings before the window's even open. I mean, is this Tottenham?
It's mad. I love the fact we're already on first name terms with Ivan. Not even signed the deal yet. This is
I can't say surname. That's why I said Ivan, mate.
I'm waiting for Costa to go. You don't even know him. What are you calling me Ivan for? You don't even know the bloke.
Skippy.
Skippy. Don't get him started on Skippy. What's his shirt number going to be? I'll tell you. Before we go to Costa, Frankie, describe the last 7 days in what it's been like. Feel as a Spurs fan, the fact that Conte seems now secured in his future for the moment, the fact that the club have injected 150 million into the coffers for transfer funds, we're led to believe. How big has this last week been for Spurs, Frankie?
Well, it seems that the penny has finally, after all these years, dropped with Daniel Levy, that when it comes to football matters, let's leave it to the pros and the experts, and we have to invest into this club. Now, obviously, the projected income from Champions League, what that brings as well, which is probably the naming rights, which I anticipate will come over the next 6 to 12 months. I understand the club will be generating more revenue than we've ever generated. And they did say, to be fair to Enoch, that once the stadium is up and running and it's fully functional, it's a money printing machine. It generates more money than any football stadium to any club in the world. They will put that back into transfers, which it seems like they're doing at this point in time. So, the stars are aligning for us. And it just feels, I haven't had this feeling before at the end of the season. For the 7 days after that follow on from the last game of the season, I've never felt this positivity. I've never seen this move for transfers, not just one transfer, but we're linked with many others. We've got the green light from, in my opinion, one of the best managers in the world, who pound for pound is as good, in my opinion, as Klopp and Guardiola, Thomas Tuchel. We can go toe to toe with them guys. So as long as we've got him at the helm, we can keep him happy. We can put the football matters in the hands of him and Paratici, give him the budget he requires. And also, don't underestimate what happened in January, not just with, obviously, which we'll get onto, the 2 new signings that came in and hit the ground running, but the guys he got rid of. And it appears, again, from what we're seeing and hearing and reading, that the likes of Celso, they're willing to take a massive haircut on his value, which is, again, very un-Enoch-like. Conte does not want them players here, Tanguy on Dembele, Gio, at the beginning of pre-season. So it's a complete culture shift. Things seem to be changing. It appears as well that Harry Kane, if you look at him, the fittest he's been. I think he's lost half a stone over the course of the season. Really trim, confident, playing for a manager, a world-class manager that will bring him back closer to the club and perhaps committing his future again with a new contract extension this summer. And it's been a wonderful 7 days. I mean, it started with a wonderful performance, albeit against a very weak Norwich side. We saw some fantastic play from Tottenham, brilliant football, fantastic goals. Son getting the golden boot. I'm so pleased for him, even though it was shared. He's been, obviously, Harry Kane has been Mr. Tottenham for all this time. But after the fiasco with Manchester City at the beginning of the season, I think that the love for Son has grown even further. And he's become almost, if not bigger than Kane, as our poster boy. Maybe I'm wrong there, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it feels that way. And probably the most loved player at the club. And he seems super happy at this club. And also, he's hitting his peak now, Son. I think the best is yet to come. So factor in, the feel-good factor at the club, the commitment from Conte, the commitment from Enix to spend money, some of the top quality players we've got there already. I do anticipate an exciting summer, and I feel that with a pre-season with Antonio Conte, this team will go up even further levels. And trust me, do not underestimate what pre-season football, a good pre-season with a good manager, does for a squad. Getting fit throughout the season and trying to get things together as the season goes on is so hard. And that's why you've got to praise Antonio for the job that he done when he came in. But it for me, again, after the end of the season, I cannot remember a more promising or optimistic Tottenham Hotspur Football Club in my time supporting anyway, which has been quite a long time. So let's just hope again for a positive summer. Back Antonio, get the players out he doesn't want, and let's kick on in August and start the season on the right footing.
Yeah, totally agree. Frankly, loads of people agree with you in the comments. Just let you know, Frankie, we're getting a little bit of tripping from it might be from the AirPods. So I don't know whether you want to maybe do a reset or maybe lose the AirPods, and that might help you, mate. Just want to let you know, just so when it listens back. Obviously, like I say, we're going to hear you clearly, but mate, listen, 100%.
Sorry, just quickly, Rick, is that better?
Lot better. Yeah, a lot better. We're losing the tripping. Absolutely perfect, mate.
So yeah, you did hear what I said though, didn't you, guys?
We heard word for word. Yep, we did. Majority. Cut the trips in there, but we heard the word for word. We're all good. The wonderful Frankie Major.
I was just going to say, Rick, I think one thing that we've done over the last few weeks now is we've finally moved on to accept we have a new manager, and there's no talk about the previous manager and the one before that, type of thing. So that's fantastic. We finally accepted who our manager is. We're not pining for anyone else, and that makes a big difference as well.
Jason, just on that note, this is the first summer since he was sacked that the fan base is not pining for Pochettino any longer. And obviously, we always have a place in our heart. We know what the guy done for the club. Great manager for us, but this now feels like closure. The Pochettino era has been put to bed.
Absolutely.
We've had disasters in between, and now we've got clarity on who the man. This love for Conte is there, and full clarity on moving forward.
Exactly.
It's brought the fan base together, which is something I ain't seen in a very long time. So, long may it continue, because I'm loving it. I absolutely love it. And I'm very positive for the season to come.
Just describe the last week for you, Anne. I mean, the fact that Spurs have now secured Champions League, the fact that Conte's future for the moment looks to some degree now secure. What's the week been like for you, Anne, as a Spurs fan? I know from previous years we've been speaking, week to week we worry about the club, but now it seems to be in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I knew I was always a little bit of a doubt in my mind if we'd get top four. That's just a pessimist in me. I can't help it. It's just I've been let down before, but I think nailing that top four spot meant so much to the fans, the club, and more importantly to Antonio, because he's now done his job, what he was there to do, and he can build on that now. And obviously the two newest signings that are coming in, it's starting to build his team, his people that he wants. And as we always say, get the players that Antonio wants. We might not agree with certain players and everything, but if he sees something that we don't, I'm all for it. Listen, I'll back the man as long as he's a Spurs manager, and I can't wait to what he brings, as Frank said, and the lads for pre-season. It's so important, and we could kick on come first game. Yeah, but I'm really, really buzzing. I'm buzzing, mate. Absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, Jay, can you remember a more positive summer going into the start of a new season? I mean, what we've got to come, it just feels so exciting right now. For someone that I know absolutely loving transfers, it just feels like the club now are really moving. Sorry, Jason, they seem to be moving towards players that I think we'd all like, and to say these are some really top-class players, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, as I said at the start of the show, kind of the last 2 weeks have just been unbelievable, really. I mean, start the Arsenal game, winning that game, of course, any North London derby and winning that is obviously a massive occasion. But what it meant as well was huge. Of course, then we beat Burnley. I think the fans were fantastic at that game. You could really sense that something was really being built there. Then, of course, Arsenal lost at Newcastle, another massive high for us because that kept us in pole position. Then, of course, we have that incredible game at Norwich, and we win 5-0. Really top performance. Sonny wins the Golden Boot, and then, of course, we secure Champions League football, and we're already on that high. And then the news comes out that ENIC are really going to go for it, and I think that was just. I think it's just so promising, and I really am so optimistic for next season. I think we've genuinely got a manager who, obviously in the past, we've had some really top managers. Mauricio Pochettino was fantastic, but I just think Conte is the full package. He's an unbelievable coach, an unbelievable manager, and he's a guy who maybe in those times where we haven't quite got over the line, I think he's exactly that sort of guy that will know how to do that. I know we've said that maybe about Jose Mourinho, but this is a guy who's totally at the top of his game. But it's just the build, the way the club has been built up, and obviously there's been a lot of criticism of the owners over the last couple of years, and probably rightfully so. It's so frustrating not to have won a trophy, and obviously that's what we want to see ultimately as football fans, seeing us win trophies. But certainly in my lifetime, all I've ever known is ENIC owning the club, and I think the way they've built it up into this, a really top club now, a club that can attract the likes of Antonio Conte, that can get top players in like Ivan Perisic and Bastone. So and then of course you look at the stadium, we've got Champions League football. I just think that we're at the stage now where I just think things are really exciting. We're a really top club now, and as you said, I think the optimism is unbelievable. I've never quite seen it like this before. Maybe you could say the Champions League final, but even now, I really feel as I'm so confident that we can do something really, really big next season. So unbelievable time to be a Spurs fan, and we've had many false dawns, but honestly, this one, I'm genuinely so confident that we're going to do something special now.
Jamie, can we just ask Rick, just on that as well? Like I mentioned on the last pod about the cycle, and Jason and I have spoken about this a few times before about the cycle that we're in, and I think that we're one cycle behind Liverpool. And when you look at the cycle that Liverpool were at when they signed Virgil van Dijk, when they then signed Alisson in the summer, and then they signed Naby Keita, they signed Fabinho, they signed Origi, they signed Shaqiri in that summer. They took a 75-point Premier League finish in 17-18 to a 97 points finish within a year in the next season. They did that. That is a fact. They took 22 points and above what they've done the season before. So it can be done with the right recruitment. And I remember thinking at the time, as a Spurs fan, why is everyone talking about Liverpool so much? The media, the fans, the rival fans, they were like, they're going to do something big. They're going to go big. They're going to do something big. And they'd signed a couple of players, like I just mentioned. And it feels like that now for us. I've seen so many rival fans talking about, I'm a bit worried about Tottenham. I don't want Tottenham to get top four, because if they get top four, Conte's going to stay. And if Conte's staying, do you see what I mean, Rick? And we're feeling it. I think rival fans are feeling it. The media are going to start talking about, if we recruit well, if we get a couple of these big players over the line that we're talking about, I genuinely think we can have a go next year.
The thing I was also thinking, there's I think Conte's record of winning titles is something like 7 in his last 9. He's a guy who has very high standards. Of course, he walked out that Inter Milan side when they were selling their top players, because I don't think he thought they could compete for the league. But I don't think he'd stay at Spurs if he genuinely didn't think that Spurs could go and win the title next season. Conte would not be here if he didn't feel he could genuinely do something big next season. Again, I've been on Last Word On Spurs for so long, and I've always had, this optimism. I had it with Jose, I had it with Pochettino, but I'm saying right now, I really do not believe that Conte would have stayed. He would have stayed if he didn't feel he could win the title or win, something major. So I think the fact that Conte is committed to the club, I think that just says everything about where we're aiming to go next season and what we can achieve. I don't think he would have stayed otherwise.
Conte is another level to the Jose we had. He's a different gravy.
Completely different.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jason, what are your thoughts on that? Jason, for you, do you agree that Conte would only have committed to Tottenham if he genuinely felt he had the belief to bring Tottenham a title next season? Do you think he actually feels that if he's backed adequately this summer?
I definitely think he believes he can do it, for sure. I think getting that Champions League helps the backing of him, because you've got that extra money. I think it's important to know the 150 appears to be on top of other things as well. So and yet we're going to go and sign free transfers like Forster and Perisic. So there must be 3 or 4 absolutely huge 80 million deals to come in that case. But no, I think he believes, whether he'd sit there and believes he can genuinely win the league, because I know what Lee's saying, but that's a massive gap on Liverpool. Had to make that gap on one team. We've got to make it on two teams. And you can see Liverpool having get to the 90s now isn't enough to win the league. If you said to me now,
getting into the 90s doesnment guarantee you the league.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's huge.
Can Tottenham next season get to 85, 86 points, which is a 15-point increase? Absolutely they can, but that's not a guarantee that even gets you a top 2 place. But I think he genuinely believes we'll be a lot closer to Chelsea next year and can genuinely go, we can still be in the talking come April, and then hopefully we can, he'll try and get another trophy at some stage along the way. But yeah, he's not looking to finish 4th next year. He wants to push that club beyond 4th, that we sit there and going into Christmas and we already know top 4's more or less. I mean, Chelsea this year, if you look at it, as much as they tailed off, they've been pretty much nailed on for top 4 all season, haven't they? They've never really had a worry. And as soon as somebody thought they'd catch them, and we said, well, if we win this game and that game, Chelsea would go and get a win and then take it back clear. And I think that's what he would look at Tottenham next year. Right the way through the season, we shouldn't be worried about finishing in the top 4. We should be looking upwards, not downwards. And that's important. And I certainly think he believes that he can do that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Frankie, let's come over to you. I mean, Spurs have wasted no time in pushing for a free transfer move, and that is one of Conte's favourite players, along with Paratici and Ivan Perisic. We understand the 33-year-old will arrive at Hotspur Way this week to complete a medical and finalise what is believed to be a $98,000 a week contract on a 2-year switch. And Jason's trying to control himself. Listen, this is a big move for Spurs. It really is a big move, Frankie, because what it does for Tottenham is it almost breaks that age barrier that we've seen with Spurs in the past. They've not been willing to go by. 33 years old, very little sell-on value, but he's a player you would be feeling is being bought for the now, Frank. How excited are you by this guy? Because, 10 goals and 9 assists in just 49 matches for Inter last seasons. He shows no signs of slowing down and across almost 4,000 minutes of football, Frankie.
Well, he's a winner. Doesn't miss many games of football. An ambidextrous footballer almost. I mean, his right foot's fantastic, but his left foot is stunning. This is a guy that is at the peak of his powers. He recently scored 2 goals in the Coppa Italia final. That was Inter's first win in the Coppa Italia in 11 years. And he was an integral part of that. And he adds quality and an upgrade on that left wing-back position. He'll give Sessegnon some insights on how to be a top player. He's won the Bundesliga with 2 different teams. He's won Serie A. He's scored in a World Cup final. He's a horrible player to play against. Fantastic in the air, wand of a left foot. I wouldn't say he's the most dynamic, but his creation and finishing is exactly what we need. That wing-back position in this system is so important. And we have got through this season without our wing-backs in that system since Conte came in, even really adding numbers. Doherty had a spell. Emerson Royale hasn't added numbers. Sessegnon hasn't really. He's had a few assists. And they're so important in this system. And you will watch him score lots of back post goals, headers, finishes. You'll watch him score from outside of the box. You'll watch him put lots of crosses in. And this is a guy with the mentality of a winner, which is what we need. We need to sign players who have won trophies last season, not 5 years ago, not 6 years ago, not has-beens. Players who have come from a club like he has, back-to-back seasons of winning the Serie A and Coppa Italia in a good Inter side. So, I mean, 33 years old, you obviously see people online say, he's past it. But I saw Luka Modric. I know that they're obviously world-class players, and I'm not saying he's that level, but Luka Modric at 36 and Benzema at 34 years old win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Age is nothing but a number if you look after yourself and you've got the right mindset. With sports science as it is in the modern era, sports in general, these athletes can go on longer. And we've seen that with certain players. And I just think...
Look at Thiago Silva.
Exactly.
Spot.
37. And he still oozes class. And Perisic is in that mould where he's fit as a fiddle. He's a winner. He's been there and done it. He's played at all the big clubs, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan. And he's a free.
But this is what we've been crying out for, isn't it?
Exactly. This is the balance of smart business that needs to be done. Not players that Levy would go for, players that Paratici and Conte want. And apparently he was name-checked by Conte. One of the first requests he made was get me Perisic. Like Bentancur and Kudasevsky, Conte's worked with these guys. Perisic. But he's worked with them as well. He knows what they're about. He knows the mindset. He knows what they bring to the table. And they're Conte's boys. They're soldiers of Conte's. They're his disciples. And Looking beyond that, there's obviously other names that we're linked to, which I won't get too much into. But this is a great start. And I feel that there'll be more of these done. There'll be more smart business coming. And this is a player that Conte adores and loves, and again has worked with before. So great start, smart signing, no transfer fee, and that's what we need at Tottenham. We need winners.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We're going to go just on this very quickly. I want to give all the boys an opportunity. I know, Jace, you've got probably no interest in this. So I won't come to you on it. But Lee, come over to you. Someone like Perisic, you can't underestimate the fact that it's a Champions League pedigree. And as put out by many, it's a proper Conte signing this one. Should Spurs, obviously, barring no hitches, get it over the line. And I think it's also a clear strategy change from Spurs in general under ENIC that we're moving very early now. And it does seem that we are using that tone, backing the manager. How crucial is that, Lee, to get these players in the door very early so in pre-season they are embedded into the way Conte wants these players to play?
Well, I think that's what, I think that's what he wants, Rick. Whatever he wants, he needs to get, because I tell you, if he gets it, I genuinely think we can do something ridiculously special next season. For me, Perisic is, 33, 34, 38, don't matter. This guy is fit as a fiddle. I think he ran more minutes than anyone else in Serie A last year. I think he got one of the players of the season in the forward attacking roles. You read out the stats already. I think it was 10 and 9 in terms of
10 goals, 9 assists.
Yeah, fancy someone out of Tottenham. Thank you very much. As from a left wing back, which is absolutely ridiculous. And as Frank just said, you can play on the left, you can play on the right, you can cut inside. The problem is defenders don't know what to do with him because, it's similar to Son. They don't know how to handle Son because Son can go left, he can go right. It doesn't really matter. And when you've got players like that in your team, it's a nightmare for defenders. So, massive, welcome addition, huge addition. But then you've got the fact that he's got all that experience. Then you've got the fact that he's going to teach Sessegnon and everyone else that is in the team in and around him. When you look at Bentancur and he's 24 years old and he's already won 3 Serie A and Coppa Italias and a couple of Argentina Premier divisions and whatever, and he's only 24. You look at Perisic has come in, he's won I think he won the Bundesliga with Dortmund, he's won the Bundesliga with Bayern, he's won the Champions League, he's won he's played under Conte, knows Conte's world, knows his system, and he's won the Serie A with him as well. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely brilliant. The thing that I love about it the most, and Chelsea fans can come in here and maybe there's a few in the group, whatever, but they can come in and have a laugh. But they've had Roman Ivanovic bankroll them for the last 20 years. That ain't happening anymore. And Perisic was touted out to them. He's chosen Spurs. But even that in itself, Rick, are you with me? This is where all of a sudden
Conte effect.
That's what I'm saying. It's a Conte effect, isn't it? People are thinking, hang on, I want to go and play for that club. I want to go and play for that club in London that's got the biggest stadium in London, got the best training facilities in London, now's in the Champions League, he's got the best managers, got 2 world-class strikers or world-class forwards already, got a World Cup winning captain. I want to go and play there. That is a massive pull, fair play. And this is where I think the mentality, everything that Conte has done in the last, it's not even 12 months. I was going to say 12 months. It's only been here 7 months. In the last 7 months, is just off the chart. I mean, he's literally transforming our entire mindset. And long may it continue. I'm so excited, mate. It's ridiculous.
Totally agree. We're going to come to Anne, then Jay. Anne, very quickly for you, how excited are you by the sign of Perisic? He's a player that can play left wing back or as a conventional winger as well, or even alongside the striker. So this is a guy that can play in a multitude of positions. And I think, like Frankie said as well, he's going to really help mentor and push on Sessegnon, who I think we can all see seems to be Conte's favourite out of him and Reguilon, whose future looks up in the air at the moment, likely to probably leave. How important is that, Anne, to get a player in that for Conte is absolutely pivotal to the way he wants to play?
It's experience, Rick, and that's what we've been crying out for. A bit of experience, a bit of young mixed in together, and I think that really bodes well for what the season is to come. But Perisic is a player that I've always looked upon, I've always liked. He was brilliant for Bayern Munich, fantastic for Inter Milan, great for his national side as well. And I think he's going to be great for our club. Got to give him time because obviously the Premier League is completely different to the Serie A. But I think he's got it in his locker to give the youngsters some advice and some know-how. And I've read today that Conte wants him to help Cess with his delivery ability or something. I don't know whether that's true or not, but if that's the case, Cess has got to take everything on board. And I think Perisic is going to be a player that is going to bring experience to the club.
Yeah, agree. Jay, let's come over to you because, Jay, I mean, to be fair, this is what you've been covering all week in terms of the Perisic to Spurs. How excited is it for you? And by the fact that, there's fans that are saying this guy's too old, but people forget, Spurs signed the likes of Edgar Davids, Ida Johnson. They were absolutely great for the group at the time. How important will that experience be? Van der Vaart as well.
I was thinking that. Yeah, I think Zoe Pearson was exactly right on screen there in terms of most attractive project in London. I mean, for me, I think with one of the most attractive projects now in Europe. I think definitely do not underestimate this signing. I think we're getting a player who's pretty much in his prime. A guy who's a free agent, so of course there'll be lots of interest in him. He's just come off a fantastic season in Serie A. I managed to catch a lot of Inter last year, and they were a fantastic team, and he was pretty much an integral part of that. Of course, we've seen how important he was in helping Conte win the title 2 seasons ago, of course. So 100% do not underestimate how important this signing is and kind of what it represents in terms of how exciting this project is at Spurs. I think, Lee kind of covered it off there in terms of everything that now comes with it. I mean, you've got Champions League football. You can play with Harry Kane, Heung-min Son. You've got Antonio Conte as your manager. You're living in London. You've got that fantastic training facility every day. So, yeah, don't underestimate how important this signing is and what it represents. But I think the important thing as well, and the guys have definitely mentioned it in terms of, we know what we're getting with Ivan Perisic. And I think this is why the Kudasevsky and Bentancur deals were so successful, because Paratici knew all about them. He knew the mentality of these players. He knew the talent of these players. I think if you look, if you can maybe compare them to other transfers the Spurs have done, you had Lo Celso and Ndombele. Of course, 2 players that were hugely talented. We were all very excited about at the time, but they were unknown entities to the club. Of course, they were obviously not right, didn't have the right mentality, and you didn't know how they were going to transfer their skills into the Premier League. But with Kudasevsky and Bentancur, they knew exactly their mentality. Paratici knew exactly of their mentalities, and this is going to be the same with Perisic. I think a lot of people have kind of compared him with Kostic as well, but for me, I think this for me is the one to get, because I think he's a guy who's totally known by Conte, known by Paratici. They know exactly his mentality, whether he's a guy who's got that mentality to come into the Premier League and fit in straight away. And that's why I have no doubt that he's going to be such a successful signing. But it's just incredibly exciting as well to have these talented wing backs. I think that so many times last season, where maybe I think against Liverpool, I was thinking if we had top wing backs, we're winning these games. I think we're winning those games. The Liverpool game is a prime example of that. Sessegnon and I think it was Emerson got into some great positions at times, but obviously there was just missing that quality. With Perisic, you're going to have that quality, and to have him putting balls into Kane and Son, it's a bit dodgy. I think that's going to be so exciting next season. I think this is a massive sign for Spurs, and again, it also represents the club, going away from their usual policy of signing these young players, and they're getting in a player the manager wants as well. So everything about this signing and what it represents is huge, and quality-wise as well, I think we're getting a really, really top player. A guy who was unbelievable in Serie A last season. So yeah, really happy with this one.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Jay, a lot of people agree with you.
Say what you really think, Jay.
I'm all thinking the comments going to be Jason. Jason's going to borrow us a bit if this carries on. So
I think as well, just on that, I know it's obviously transfer.
Before Jason kicks us out.
I know, but just on that as well, it's 150 million quid. I can't remember, it was in the comments, Cockrell, somebody or other, said about, is anybody worried that the 150 million is going to go on a hotel and we're going to be left with 100 grand spent on Zaha? Which, you're not Spurs, I suppose, if you don't think that, to be fair. But that 150 million quid that's going into the pot for the transfers, we've also roughly got about, Frank touched on it earlier, we've done a bit of work in the WhatsApp group, didn't we, this week? A bit of a deep dive on the Champions League money. When you look at the TV money, the group stage money, and the coefficient side of things in the Champions League, you're probably doing about £60 million, not euros, £60 million just in the Champions League before you even get out of the group stage. So you've got a 60 million, you've got a 60 million budget there, plus the 150, plus whatever you can sell. And I know Jay's saying interest in this, but you're looking at what? Reggie, you're looking at Bergie, you're looking at Dembele, Gio, Emerson, Winks, Clark. There's a lot of stuff to go out, and regardless of whether it's 10 million or 30 million for each player, you're looking at least 60, 70, 80 million there as well. Paratici's got to be cooking, and if he starts cooking, you're looking at a transfer war chest, as good friend of the show, Ali Gold said, wrote down war chest. There's probably about 200 or 250 million there. And that's serious. That's serious money.
A lot of transfers.
I was just going to say, we haven't had the full impact of this stadium, because all the events and concerts from last summer have been moved to this summer, like Guns N' Roses and Lady Gaga, NFL. So once that kicks in fully, we've had a few events. We had the AJ Usyk fight, and there's been a few events, rugby and so on. But once we feel the full capacity of that and what that generates, that it gives us such an advantage financially. And again, it hasn't even got going.
Yeah, totally agree. Just conscious of time, guys. We're 41 minutes in. It's meant to be an award show. We haven't given out any awards yet. So just to kind of clarify and finish where we are in terms of the transfer market at the moment, we understand that Spurs are still pursuing the signing of Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan. That one, again, lots of talk and conjecture over that one. That one will drag on. We've obviously seen that Fraser Forster will be coming through the door probably later on next week. He's got a medical, I think he's already undergone. And
what's that coming over the hill? It's Fraser Forster. It's Fraser Forster.
Yeah, I'm not sure that one will get going. Wait till we got the cup games coming. He chucks one at the back of the net and me and Ant will be screwing. I'm looking forward to getting Ant on an FA Cup night when that happens. We understand Spurs, according to Ali Gold, are still bigger admirers of centre-back Josko Gvardiol. Have I pronounced that right, Jay? Forgive me if I have. I've done that justice. We'll soon find out in the comments. Again, Philip Kostic, another one Spurs are being likened to being linked with. And again, Sergio Reguilon looks like being the fullback Spurs are open to offers for. Galini, we expect him to go back to Atalanta, of course, with Fraser Forster coming in. And again, Jed Spence, who we've just seen with Forest back in the Premier League. Listen, great to see Forest back in the Premier League.
Yeah,
absolutely massive side. Massive side,
Forest.
Nottingham Forest. Great to see them back in the Premier League. So Jed Spence, that one. Unlikely, maybe that Forest may let him go now. We'll have to see, but a player that is on Tottenham's radar list. But
he's on loan at Borough.
He's on loan at Borough, but he's a Forest
Borough
player. We'll see what happens with that. But we will go for our first break of the show for our listeners and audio. For our watching audience on YouTube, there's 1,000+ of you watching us live on a Sunday evening. We're about to hand out some awards, and it means Jason McGovern can rejoin the conversation. Now, guys, let's get the first award out of the way, because it's not the nicest of ones. It's the biggest disappointment of the season. And our nominations are, and we unfortunately again because of copyright reasons we can't bring in the video clips what we would show you, but we could do some impressions for Nuno Espirito Santo. What you would have is a clip of him coming in now saying, "We will make you proud." We then have the signing of Brian Hill with Richard Cracknell telling us he needs to get some more Wagyu steaks. We've got failing to end the trophy drought of 14 years. And the 4 Chelsea defeats, which I know Mr. Richard Cracknell and Ricky Knorr would join me to review those 4 Chelsea defeats. I think Frankie was in for one of those as well. I think Costa was in for one of those as well. So, boys, let's do a quick round the table. Let's go with Jason to start. Jace, out of those 4, what's been the biggest disappointment of the season?
Nuno. It has to be Nuno. It was an absolute disaster. No shots, boring football, 9th in the league, losing London derbies all over the place. I mean, the list of crimes against Nuno is just huge. So don't even have to think about it.
Okay, we got 1 vote for Nuno. Jay,
and also Ndombele, still not getting past 65 minutes.
He did once. I did get past probably.
He did break the door once. Jay, biggest disappointment of the teams for you out of those 4?
Yeah, out of the 4, I'm actually going to go for the 4 Chelsea defeats. I'm going to go for that over Nuno because I wasn't expecting anything from Nuno. I just didn't think he was the right fit. As soon as he was linked, I really thought it was going to be a bit of a disaster, unfortunately. So I didn't really have many expectations. Of course, after that fantastic Man City win and winning the first 3 matches, I was maybe expecting a bit more. But I think I wasn't ever really expecting Nuno to be much of a success. So for me, losing to Chelsea 4 times was hugely disappointing. I think some of the performances we put up against them were an utter disgrace at times. So, I'm going to go for the 4 Chelsea defeats.
Matty Hayes there, friend of the show. Matty obviously been on Last Word On Spurs this season. We'll be back on with us next season. Says, and Dominic only got past 65 minutes against Morecambe because he only took it an half hour to walk off, which to be fair was fair. It was a long walk. Let's come over to you. Out of those 4, Nuno, Brian Hill, the trophy drought, the 4 Chelsea defeats, and what's been the most disappointing aspect of the season?
I think the Nuno one. I think I did the show with you, didn't I, when he got announced? Because I think everyone else was all of a sudden on holiday.
Jason was around.
Jace was around because he's a grafter. So it was, and I think I just the acting of the best acting come out of myself because I didn't want to be I didn't want to be negative, but I thought
this is. To be fair, this is before we went on to video. Now, I mean, the thing is that was audio, so no one can actually see your face. So the thing is, at the time, we didn't know how everyone actually looked and felt at that transfer because it was audio. So maybe that's a good thing we wasn't audio then for Nuno. The welcome of Nuno. Let's go over to.
You go Nuno for me.
You go for Nuno. All right, Frankie, for you, out of those four, Nuno, Brian Hill, the trophy drought, the Chelsea defeats, what tops the list, Frankie, for you?
It's Nuno Espirito de Santo, the worst Tottenham manager I can remember in my lifetime. An absolute disaster. We got beat 3-0 by Crystal Palace. We got battered by Arsenal. We got beaten by West Ham. We got battered by Chelsea. That stupid song, Tottenham get battered everywhere they go, it stems from Nuno and his tenure. A disaster of an appointment. The stats were just embarrassing. Worse than anything Joe's ever served up. No shots on target, no chances created. Just absolutely dreadful. So you're getting a massive, from me, Nuno, the biggest disaster of the season.
Okay, Lee. I think we've kind of at the moment. It's kind of I mean, where we are, Nuno is the real. Yeah, it looks like it's going to go Nuno.
You can't really argue with that, can you? I think the graphic says it all for me. When
Jamie did, but yeah.
20th in running stats, 20th in passing stats, 20th in shots attempted, 20th for no shots on target. I mean, we were absolutely woeful. How we got manager of the month after them 3-1-0 wins, is just beyond belief. It was probably the biggest poison chalice of the manager of the month because he was in charge of 17 games. He was absolutely woeful. He won 5, lost 5, and it was a joke. What I would say though, probably that maybe tops that, because if you're feeling sorry for Nuno, is the board and the appointment of Nuno, because that's summer.
You could have the 72-day search for a manager was maybe the biggest disappointment as well.
Exactly, mate. The 72-day saga of trying to get that manager in was it was a farce. It was embarrassing, and we are so far away from where that point to where we are now. It's only a year ago, but we're so far different from that, and that's brilliant in football. But my word, guys, girls, listeners, viewers, that was horrific.
Should we have a show of hands of who was feeling proud after that? Or
I was going to say, Jamie, what was worse, Christian Gross when he showed up with his train ticket, or Mr. Make You Proud when Nuno said he'd make us all proud? I don't know which.
Right.
Okay. See, the thing is, with Gross, there was obviously it was terrible, but there was no because we never tapped Champions League. We did. We were a banter club. Like I went to school and people taking the mick out of me because we had a pony top. Do you know what I'm saying? So there was no expectation. But this geezer came in after Champions League final, finishing 4th, finishing 3rd, and then he came in, bless him, and went, I'm going to make you proud, and score 3 goals in 9 games and 2 shots.
I mean, I think someone said it. We had the worst shot ratio than Norwich. You'd obviously really comprehensively finished bottom.
Worst shot ratio than Norwich, mate.
So
I mean, we were the bottom of everything, weren't we? That's I'll never forget it. I looked at that and I just thought,
I remember.
Where are we going from here?
I remember your show, Lee, and you were saying we're the bottom of the league and that. We're the bottom of the league and that. I can't take it. Can't
take it, Ed. I mean, look, this is me. I can take everything. I couldn't take that. I mean, you are literally having a laugh, mate.
I must have said, Adrian obviously
the best thing, we'd be bottom of all these stats, and Lee would be complaining, and then you'd say, right, what's the prediction for the Everton game? We'll win 4-0. We ain't even going to have 4 shots in the wall.
I know.
Mr. Positivity. What do you mean we're going to win 4-0? Where does that come from?
Against Everton.
You know what, Eds? It's lucky we can laugh about it now because
man,
trust me,
we ended up in 4th. But if we hadn't, then it wouldn't have been a laughing matter, would it? Really?
No, it wouldn't be. Right. Yeah. I think I say for that award, then it will go to Nuno. Finally walks away with Spurs winning a trophy. He wins the Last Word On Spurs. Biggest disappointment of the season over to Nuno. Now, I think the next category, guys, we're going to find it a bit harder. So we've got moment of the season. Ooh. We've got 5 in here. So we've got Steven Bergwijn's late mini Ajax brace, which was, incredible moment. I think we all went absolutely insane that evening. It was amazing. I had Crackners, and I had Ricky Knorr with me for that one. That was an amazing show. We, of course, had the North London derby win against Arsenal, which was pivotal because Spurs had to win that to stay in the top 4 battle. A loss would have been, well, we wouldn't have even thought about what that would have meant. And we had the Kane Etihad brace, which again, seismic result, that one. Sanchez, the last gasp Watford winner. Now, maybe on another occasion, that would have been a massive, massive part of the season. But because of the nature of some of the other results since then, you seem to forget about that one. And finally, Sonny scoring at Anfield. I know Richard Cracknell, one of our own, said, got to put that in there as well. So, boys, 5 options there. Let's go round the table. Jace, this is a lot harder, this one. What's the moment of the season for you out of those 5?
Easy for me, beating them 3-0 in what felt like a cup final. If we'd have been playing Aston Villa and beaten them 3-0 in the game that we had to win, it wouldn't seem like it. But for me, I've always said we play 36 pre-season friendlies and 2 games that really matter, and that's one of them. And to beat them in the way that we beat them, the manner that we beat them, and to actually be able to coast that second half was huge. I mean, the Bergwijn moment felt like that win at Swansea years ago when we were 1-0 down on 88. Came back to win it 3-1. It was like that, and it was that moment you jumped out of the seat. The Manchester City one, just the buzz of that night. But I think for me personally, to do them is always the starting point of the season for me. So that wins it for me.
Okay, nice one, Jay. Let's go over to you, Jay. For you, out of those 5, what takes top spot?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to give an honorary mention to Lucas Moura being subbed off for Stephen Bergwijn. I think that was certainly a big moment. But no, I'm actually going to go for the Stephen Bergwijn moment at Leicester. I just think that was honestly, if you look at, I think there was a screen grab that always goes around on Twitter quite a lot of the score being, I think it was 2-1 to Leicester with in the 94th minute. And it's like, how on earth we had the mentality to come back from that. And always remember, the big moment that sticks for me in that game is when we scored that equaliser and they're running to get the ball out the back of the net and go again. Like, you look at when Arsenal did it against Crystal Palace, they got the equaliser and they're all running over to the corner to celebrate the equaliser. So for me, the fact that they really believe they could win it even with the little time that was left, I think that just shows, the mentality that Conte's kind of brought to this team. So for me, it's Stephen Bergwijn's brace against Leicester.
I must just say some honourable mentions in there. People have put the fact that, the United defeat 3-0 at home was for them their best moment. I know Jason probably would have said this for him as well. Best moment getting slung out of the Europa Conference League has also been mentioned in the comments. So there's that one as well. Also, the Arsenal All or Nothing documentary, which is coming very soon. And we're all going to enjoy that. Let's come to you, Ant. No, out of those 5, Ant, for you, what takes top spot?
Newcastle beating Arsenal 2-0.
That's a good.
No, I think because of the how it was and them postponing the game and thinking that they were clever about it and taking the mick out of us that we were going to bottle it, etc., etc. And I think the first North London derby in front of a crowd at the new stadium, I think we had to beat them. The pressure, not the pressure, but the occasion was there, and I think we turned up and absolutely demolished them. And I think if they would have beaten us, then we were never at the end of it. So it's the first North London derby at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for me is the moment for me. But Bergwijn is a close second. Close second.
Guys, it's getting really close. Yeah. And also the popular Conte also has the moment of the season. We're going to keep everyone in suspense from Lee for a second and go to Frankie. Frankie, for you, what's been the moment of the season, in your opinion?
Honourable mention to the City game, because that gave us belief that we could mix it with the big boys, the best team probably in the world. I know Real Madrid have won the Champions League, but City on a consistent level have been fantastic this season. So that deserves a special mention. But I'll go to, again, beating Arsenal. First full capacity attendance at the new stadium. The best atmosphere I've ever witnessed over Spurs. I mean, we had some great nights at Wembley. Real Madrid, when we beat Real Madrid, the stadium was fantastic. But that, for me, was incredible. And also, we all had a great day, boys. It was my birthday. We met in the pub early. It was fantastic. I was with my boys, It was just a great day and capped off with a fantastic result. And Arsenal did recover from that. And subsequently, we got top 4 and we are where we are. So I have to go with beating the Arsenal, as they call themselves, for some reason. weird reason. 3-0 at home, biggest league win over Arsenal since the 80s, I believe. And then everyone's singing Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. And again, just in very quick reference to that song that Chelsea fans and Arsenal fans were singing, for us to then end up with a better league away record than both of them is embarrassing. Imagine singing that song all season and then ending up where they ended in the away league. I'd be ashamed and embarrassed. So definitely beat 3-0.
Oh man, Lee, is it? I mean, it's pretty much seems everybody's kind of gone towards that Arsenal result. Do you agree, Lee?
I do. I like T Mission. He says that me and the Uber was pretty special, and I agree.
Yeah, it was
the Uber. No, look. I mean, jokes aside, I have to mention Kane because I think we're all massive fans of Kane, all of us. But I know that me and Frankie throughout the season have called him, but we never ever doubted him ever. Never doubt this guy, and his performance against Man City was absolutely outrageous. I watched it again the other day. And it was disgusting. It was literally disgusting. It was literally a perfect performance from Kane. And don't forget, he scored hat-trick, but obviously one of the goals got ruled off for offside. But it was an unbelievable team goal. If you've forgotten it, viewers and listeners, go back and watch it again because it was literally amazing. So I have to give a more than honourable mention for that. I thought he was amazing after what happened against the whole City thing and everything. For him to do what he did was amazing. But of course, mate, we absolutely ruined them. It was the best atmosphere for everyone. Spot on. It was just unbelievable atmosphere, and we ruined them. And we could have had 6 or 7 against them that night. And you know, a lot of people were calling, including myself, like, put your James, you're like this in terms of a cricket reference. You know, Australia back in the 90s, 2000s would have had their foot on our necks against England, and they would have just ruined us. And they would have, and I was calling for that against Arsenal, but in the end, 3-0, we were in their heads. And for me, that was the biggest thing. We were in their heads, and they couldn't get over that. They lost against Newcastle because Newcastle were good, but we were better the week before, and that's what made us get the top 4. And I love that. Also, quick mention as well, because there was some people saying it in the comments. January transfer window. I know we're talking about transfers again. We learned from our mistakes. 518 days, as one of our own, Chris Cannon, will always say, in terms of we didn't spend any money. But that transfer window in January, we're the only club to spend money that were challenging for the top 4, and it paid off because Kudasevsky and Bentancur have been absolutely different class. So that's a good moment to mention. But smashing the Goonies, mate, don't get much better than that.
I think just one thing to say on that City defeat. In the way that we turned that Leicester game round, you know, we all remember the fact that Kane gets the winner in, 94th minute. But the fact that we conceded a penalty in the 89th. So our emotions in that game have gone. We're sitting there thinking we're 2-1 up to City. We're going to win this game. And then that VAR decision, which was correct, and it's a penalty. You know, we've seen how often. And we're probably sitting there thinking, and we're starting to worry now that City will then go on in the 5 or 6 added minutes and win that game. So the fact that it was us that bounced back from that huge disappointment on a night like that to then go again and win it, I think that tells you a lot about the mentality that he's starting to change. That's for sure.
Yeah, love that, James. But also as well, the Leicester, Jamie gave a shout about as well, is that that mentality to go and get that ball back. But ultimately, we were outstanding that game. That was the best up until that point. That was the best we'd played under Conte.
Yeah.
I think we had 27 attempts on goal and 10 shots on target against Leicester, and we were 2-1 down in the 92nd minute. I mean, we totally deserved to win that game, and thankfully we did because Bergie came on and done what he did. But we thoroughly deserved to win that game. Yeah.
So it looks like, boys, unanimously then we're going for the North London Derby Arsenal win as our moment of the season. So we've got 2 awards down. We've got 3 to go. So we will go for our next break of the show for our listeners and audio. For our watching audience here on YouTube, there's nearly over 1,000+ of you watching us live. Thank you as always for your incredible support. It's from the likes of Jamie, Frankie, Lee, and I've been guiding you through the season here on Last Word On Spurs, through a whole host of contributors as well. Wonderful audience of viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for your incredible support. As Lee's referencing, if you like what you're seeing, go and hit the like button. McQueen will be telling you, hit the like button for Bastoni, hit the like button for, maybe not for Fraser Forster. We'll get Lee to give us a rendition of that again.
What's coming over the hill? It's supposed to 4-star. It's supposed to 4-star.
Costa, can you see yourself getting on that one next season? Can you see him singing that one?
Yeah, definitely. I'll make sure Lee's with me.
Right, okay. Right, next one, boys. Goal of the season. Now we've got we've got 5 options here, and I'm pretty conscious that again there'll be probably people will probably shout out all different options, but these are the 5 we've gone with. Now these are based on the technical ability and one of them based on the teamwork. So I appreciate again that for some goal of the season these won't cover everybody's opinions and probably their views. So we've gone with Lucas Moura's finish up against Norwich City at home. We've got Heung-min Son against Leicester City, again, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We've got Decky's goal against Aston Villa, a team goal, which was, again, that one was away from home at Villa Park. We've then got Sonny versus Norwich on the final day, Decky on the final day against Norwich. So 5 to choose from there. Again, conscious that we've also, a lot of people saying, again, Kane's winner against City. Maybe that should be there for goal of the season. Boys, let's go through them. Let's go to Frankie to start with. Frankie, for you, what's been your goal of the season?
I would have to say it's got to be Sonny, because Sonny's technique on both of those goals was unbelievable. I mean, for me, I've not seen a player who can finish at that quality with both feet in world football. I'm not exaggerating this because, I'm not just saying it. Name me a player who can bend the ball in the top corner with both feet. And that left-footed one against Leicester was unbelievable. It's his wrong foot. He's cutting in from outside the box. So taking away the importance of the goal, if you're telling me what was the most stunning and beautiful goal you've seen this season, it has to be the left-footed finish.
It's interesting. Courtesy of Anne, I was right behind that strike. It was an absolutely
I know it wasn't a goal to get us here or there, or the most important goal. But if we're taking the context, of what the goal done for us, we're looking at the goal individually and isolated. It has to be that goal because the technique was stunning.
It was an incredible goal
as well, wasn't it? Isn't that the goal that he scored for his hat-trick?
The Leicester one.
The Leicester one.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
It was when it was his last goal.
Not only was it outrageous, as Frankie just said, but it was also for hat-trick.
Yeah, it was incredible. Okay, boys, let's go to Lee. Lee, are you agreeing with that goal for you? I mean, there's some big ones in there, to be fair.
No, I am genuinely. No, I thought it was outstanding. I thought it was an amazing goal. I really liked the team goal, though, versus Villa. I thought it was brilliant. When you watch that Villa goal back, and we got the ball from the goalkeeper, it comes out to Royale, who's Emerson, who's had a bit of stick this year, and he plays a bit of a 1-2. I think Decky gets on his bike down the right-hand side as well, and the ball comes in, and Kane flicks his header on. I think it's that goal. It was a brilliant team goal, so I really, really like that. But it's hard to argue with that, what Frankie said. The Sonny, I mean, Frankie, you just said, like, name me a player that can do left foot, right foot. Well, I'm hoping Ivan could do that because we just signed him. So maybe he can come in and do that left foot, right foot thing. But it was an outstanding finish. I mean, some of the goals that we scored, again, Kane's header, that Man City header was outstanding goal. I mean, the Kane volley for the second Man City, for his first goal.
Kane volley against Everton, Lee.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some sick goals, mate, to be fair. But I'm with Frankie. I'll go with a Sonny goal.
Let's come over to you. Yeah. And again, a reminder, make sure you do pre-order Ant's new album coming out. Please make sure you do. And
cheers, boys.
What's for you goal of the season?
Sonny versus Leicester. I said it on Sky Sports News. Yeah, it's got to be because I was behind the goal and it came out of nowhere. It was one of them. Yeah. Is he gonna? Wow, he's done it. And it's just as Lee's doing, just top bins, mate. Unbelievable.
And this is the wrong foot. This is wrong.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I know. And Kasper Schmeichel had no chance, literally no chance. And he's normally a good keeper.
I will say also Jay's comment on the screen there, the Kane volley against Leeds at Ellen Road, that also was a brilliant goal. Again, we've been blessed this season to have scored some really special goals, but on another season, that would also be right up there. That was a wonderful finish from Harry Kane. Jay, let's come over to you. Out of those options, Jay, and again, there's loads of other different ones coming in here. Sonny against Leicester was majestic. Again, that one Kane, the finish at Leeds, has been given a reference. Jay, what for you has been the goal of the season for Tottenham?
Yeah, I was just looking back. I think the Kudasevsky one against Aston Villa, I think that was actually the team goal. I think it was scored by Sonny because, or certainly the one that I've watched back. And I mean, I remember watching it. Watching
the one two with Kudasevsky down the right hand side from Emerson.
Yeah, it was Sonny that finished off, but like the passing and the movement of that goal is just like unbelievable, and I really love team goals like that. And for me, I think that's as good as scoring a long range effort or anything. So watching us play that sort of football was just unbelievable, and I just remember saving that clip on my phone and watching it over and over again of how good it was. And I think that Villa game was really a game where we really started to believe that we are a top side, and I think that goal really kind of showed what a good side we are. So again, I'm going to go a bit different from everyone else. So I'm going to go first Sonny versus Aston Villa.
Okay, interesting. Leslie there says the Kane Coca-Cola volley has to also get a mention. It was a brilliant volley from Harry Kane as that cola exploded everywhere. Jace has come to you. Before I do, actually, no Spurs goal in the match of the day goal of the season there from Becky, she says. And again, when you consider how many options we've got here, it's quite incredible that. Jace, what takes your goal of the season?
I think actually of the options you gave me, I actually think Lucas Moura's against Norwich. The way that he took the ball back to goal, flicked it round the corner, played the 1-2, brought that bit of injection into pace, and then smashed it in the top corner. I actually thought of the options you gave me, I'd have gone for Lucas Moura's.
That's interesting. So I think based on that,
goal, wasn't it, James? Just quickly
fantastic
on that.
goal. Fantastic because it's Norwich. You know, people look down on it because it's Norwich, but I think just that and Lucas. We just wish Lucas would do that a lot more often because there's no doubt he does bring an injection of pace into the game sometimes. And it's just, can you please do that when, we saw that at Man United all those years ago, didn't he? When in almost his first season for us. I just wish he could do that more consistently and against the better sides more often. But, but I think Becky also mentioned the one, I loved the Kane look with the flick over his head to Sonny's goal at Villa. The way he looked over that one shoulder and then just turned it the other side, moment of real bit of skill like that was fantastic. But you didn't even mention Sonny's on the opening day against Man City.
Yeah, that's another great shot. Yeah,
but Sonny's one of those players, isn't he? You could have a goal of the season contest every season.
I said that goals. I believe I said that last week, and I referenced you, Jay San. I said you've said that so many times with Sonny. He could have his own goal of the season compilation. He was
on his own.
Yeah,
that Kane header. I was so impressed with him.
Yeah,
he was on such an he was unplayable. That was the
game. Yeah.
Imagine Kane next season when he's actually not going to be missing for the first 3 or 4 months because he's
30 goals.
He's the best player in the league, and I can't wait for ground running in August.
And also Frankie, and that support to have Frankie, or the support Kane's going to have hopefully from Perisic, providing quality balls in the box, and whoever else we're going to sign. You feel it's all set up for Kane to explode as well, Lee, isn't it? Really next season again.
Kane scored 1 goal on November by November the 3rd. He scored 1 Premier League goal. And I remember Jason and I come on one of the shows, don't know which one it was, and we both said, and we hadn't had a conversation via WhatsApp, or whatever. We both said, Kane to get 15 Premier League goals. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about that. How many to get? 17. And to be fair, if it wasn't all about Sonny and Norwich, I reckon he could have got a hat-trick that day. But it was about Sonny. So, the guy's class. Frankie's worked out, how he's going to beat the key records over the next few seasons or so. I reckon he goes and gets 30 goals next season. But, like Frank just said, if he's on fire, like he was in the since Conte's come here, Kane's level's just gone different. I mean, they've had to change their shirts. And Sonny, I mean, Frank said earlier, he's lost half a stone or whatever. Both of them had to change their shirts because they've had to go down a size. They are ripped to pieces. They are absolutely fit. And they are at their prime. And, they're the best duo, in my opinion, they're the best duo in the Premier League. And most, if not all fans know it. They can't handle it, but they know it. And I tell you now, you go and add the Perisic, you go and add the Bastonis, you go and add a couple of other signs that we've got. Get Ericsson back on the foot. Get Bale back. Don't even worry about that. 32, he's younger than Perisic. Get Bale back here. Come on. I tell you.
Let's not forget Kudasevsky as well for a whole season with those two. Kane up in his levels. Kudasevsky, the best January side.
I've got to say, you've got to go and watch, or maybe after the show, but you've got to go and watch Kudasevsky's latest Instagram post. Absolutely brilliant. He's, I think there was a tweet. I think we always reference it in our group of this Italian journalist saying, "Oh, thank you so much, Spurs, for giving us this £40 million to go and sign Vlahovic." And Kulu's just kind of put it on his Instagram and made it into a bit of a montage. Very funny, brilliant from him. And,
that's to chill out. Superb. I think, boys, based on the votes, it looks like the goal of the season is going to Heung-min Son vs Leicester. That's probably what I would have gone with. Again, notable shouts out to Mora's finish, Son's finish versus Villa, Kulu's as well. I mean, there's so many that we could have had in there, guys. I appreciate, again, it's definitely going to, split opinion. But last one on Spurs, his goal of the season does go to Heung-min Son versus Leicester City. And this next one is also a really nice award to kind of touch upon some of the players that I think throughout the time on Last Word on Spurs, and Lee, myself, Frankie, Jamie, Jace, we've all had different opinions on these guys all the time. So the next award is for the most improved player of the season. And there's 4 options. We've got Eric Dyer, Ben Davies, Ryan Sessegnon, and Matt Doherty. Now, I think it's only fair before we decide on those players that we just delve a little bit deeper into all of them because, listen, they've had transformative seasons, however you think they've started and how it's finished. And let's start with you. I think, Ant, when we've spoken, I've been really apprehensive about Eric Dyer. I shared my reservations to Lee at the beginning of the season.
Likewise.
I've got to be honest with you. I wasn't too sure if he could. And again, I must also add that most improved player, Ben Davies also. Ben Davies as well. I must give a mention as well. So there's 5 there, really.
Dyer.
Are you surprised by how much Dyer's improved?
Unbelievable. He's just gone from 0 to hero within a season. And there's a reason why all these different managers, whether you like these managers or not, they always play Dyer. And I, for one, was like, he's got a mistake in him. Not every defender has. But I tell you something, mate, I can't think of a time where he's caused a mistake for opposition. Maybe Brighton, you might say, but over 38 games in the Premier League, he's been unbelievable, and he's been so consistent. And I take my hat off to him. The hard work's paid off, and I think he's only going to get better. Now he's going to have hopefully better defenders next to him with Romero as well. So Dyer for me. Davis is a very close second. I don't know why Cesar Doherty's in there, but that's another story.
Okay, interesting. Jay, let's come over to you because Jay, you pulled a face there for you. Can you understand why those guys will be in there, Jay? And who for you would you say has been your most improved player this season?
No, I can definitely understand Doherty being in there. I think his kind of the thing with Doherty, I think he's very much a right wing back. I think that's where his main position is. I think under Jose, he was using a completely a role that he was not used to. He was playing in a defensive right back system, and that's not really him. And I think he lost a lot of confidence from that. Of course, he was in and out of the team, so I think to come back from that, being at such a low point in his career, and I think a lot of Spurs fans have well and truly written him off. And then to go and put in some of those performances that he did, he really stepped up, and he's one of many players actually that stepped up at big moments this season. I remember Emerson Royale. I think I gave out a shout to the last show. A guy who I think a lot of people have had a lot of criticism of this season. But I think in the last couple of games, another player that really stepped up, and you can mention lots of them, but I'm going to go that on this one again. I'm going to go for Eric Dyer for sure. I mentioned it on the last show with Alistair Gold. I think a game that really showed how important he is, or certainly 2 games that showed how important he is to this team, was the defeats against Southampton and Wolves. A very difficult time at Spurs when we lost those 2 games back to back. Performances were shocking, and a player we were missing in that game was Eric Dyer. And for me, we were all over the place defensively, and it was because we didn't have that leader in the back line. And I know a lot of people were very worried when we lost Romero to injury for the Arsenal game, but I was saying to people, for me, I think as long as we've got Eric Dyer in there, I think he's the guy that will really lead this defence. I don't think he's as good as Romero. I don't think he's kind of ability-wise, I don't think he's quite up there in terms of best centre-backs in the league. But what he does bring is kind of a leadership in that back line, an organisation, and that's why I'm really backing him to keep his spot in the team next year. And obviously we've got these ambitions of doing something really big this next season. But for me, I think he can be a key part of that. I think his organisational skills in that back line is going to be crucial. And I said we certainly saw that how important they were in those defeats against Wolves and Southampton without him. So Eric Dyer without doubt for me.
Okay, so there's 2 in the Dyer camp. Frankie, let's come over to you. Frankie, for you, most improved player of the season?
Has to be Eric Dyer, because not only under Conte has his level gone up, but he was actually pretty decent under Nuno, if you remember. He was one of the only players that came out of that sort of credibility. I think playing in the back three suits him, being the anchor. There's still pockets of Spurs fans on social media that still criticise Eric Dyer, and I don't understand it, because he's had a stellar season. He will give the ball away. His job in that deep line role of the three is to play out. So he has to make risky passes. He has to try and play between the lines. That's what his job is. And Conte done something similar with David Luiz at Chelsea in that role, and took him up a level. And he's done it to Dyer. And I think, do not underestimate, we're quite a small back three without him. Ben Davies and Romero are not the strongest in the air. They're both, I think, below 6 foot, which is why the Bastoni signing makes so much sense. But he, in the air, has been so reliable. He doesn't miss a header. There's been the odd mistake, as I said, that has come from playing out, which he's encouraged to do. But Romero came out recently and said, Eric Dyer's really helped me settle into the club and into the area and all the rest of it. So he is becoming that leader that we need to the younger players. And I just think he deserves so much credit, because he was written off by most of the fan base, including myself, criticised from many, and he's just gone up levels. And we all did. We all did. He's turned it around, and I'm just stunned that he's not been called up for the England squad when you've got Connor Cody in there, who plays in a back three, plays a similar role, not on his level. No way, I'm not having that. And, granted, I don't watch Wolves every week, but I watch a lot of football. I watch most games. And Eric Dyer is a level above Connor Cody. And I'm gutted for him, but obviously it means that he'll get the rest that we want him to get this summer. And he'll be back fresh for pre-season. And I'm looking forward to what Eric Dyer could do next year with a full season under Conte with better teammates. And I think he will go up another level. So, special mention to Ben Davies, of course. He's one that I'd written off even more so than Eric Dyer. I mean, I said some terrible things about Ben Davies, but he's been superb. But for me, Dyer edges it. Well played, Eric Dyer, and long continue.
It looks like it's unanimous at the moment. Jason, come over to you. I mean, just to mention on Davies, because I mean, I've been one of Davies' biggest critics. I've always said 6 out of 10, Ben, but he has been a revelation under Conte. You have to say that, the way I think he started all but one Premier League match under him and one cup match, and he has looked so assured, so solid in that role. And whether he becomes a squad player next season, I think the one thing we do know with Ben now is we can rely on him, and I think that's always what's been questioned over the last 5 to 6 years. So, Jace, for you, who is your most improved player this season?
Well, I think it is between Dyer and Davies, because the other two's improvement came much later into the season, and Sessegnon's really is, until March we hadn't really seen Sessegnon. So I don't think you can do it over a 6 or 8 week thing when Ben Davies and Eric Dyer have done it over pretty much 30 odd games. I think it's really tight between the two. If you'd have said which one has the higher ceiling at the start of the season, you'd have probably thought Eric Dyer probably has a slightly higher ceiling than Ben Davies. And the fact that they've come up together, you could inch towards Ben Davies, but I think Eric Dyer playing in the middle of the three has brought a bit of leadership. I think, you looked at the catastrophe of those couple of Chelsea games, those semi-finals where we didn't have Eric Dyer, and the shambles that was at Stamford Bridge that night where we scored 2 own goals and things like that. So I would, could you honestly say I won't make a mistake again? No, you can't. But then, everyone will make a mistake during the course of a season. But I would go Eric Dyer, but it would be 51-49 between those two. It's so tight. And I think Ben Davies deserves a lot of credit, because I think, as Frank said, probably more people have written him off than almost anyone at the football club going into this season. So for him to become such a key, important member of the side, and I think that block against Salah at Anfield, was absolutely outrageous block, and that went a long way to getting that result. I know even now people talk about the Romero diving header, but for me that block of Davies's on Salah was huge that night. So, like I say, 51-49 Eric Dyer over Ben Davies, but Ben Davies is really close to it, that's for sure.
Zoe's asking, can we give it to them both? Zoe, I might have to be brutal and say it's got to go around one of them. It's so close. So Lee,
go for it. Let's give it to them both.
Do you give it both? Lee, would you agree? Would you give it both? What do you reckon, Lee? Would you give it both?
I'll be honest with you, Rick. I can't really say Dyer's most improved, because I backed him from the beginning of the season. Rick, Didn't
You
I,
did,
Rick?
you did, mate.
Look, jokes aside, like I'm going to read out some statistics from the Blue Book. Got it here. Like don't even worry about it. Travels to Spain. 16 clean sheets, 32 blocks, 27 interceptions, 141 clearances,
That's
91 heading clearances, 70 aerial battles won, and the only person that has got better stats across some of them areas in terms of goals conceded and clean sheets and tackles. I think he's won 15 tackles. Virgil van Dijk's won 16. The only player, centre-back, that has got better stats than some of them is Virgil van Dijk, who is the best in the world, right? He's the best guy ever in the Premier League. So you can't really argue with Eric Dyer. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. I have to mention, as everyone said, Ben Davies, because look, if you told me to go and put Ben Davies on the back of my shirt, I'd go and put Ben Davies on the back of my shirt. Do you get me? Because he's been absolutely brilliant. And fair play to Ben. He'll probably drop out of the squad next year. At the first
As in the first 11. Yeah.
He signed for Stoney, but he will still play an absolute key part in getting us to win the Premier League next year or whatever we're going to go and do, because he's been brilliant. But Eric Dyer, I'll tell you something about Eric Dyer. He loves me and I love him. As the song goes, we love Eric Dyer.
The best moment, honestly. I love it in the stadium where one person singing it. I think it's just very funny. It's
brilliant. And, but for me, it's got to go to him. But I'm happy. I'm happy to.
Should we?
To go with Ben
I know a lot of people. Should we join it, boys? I mean, Frankie said, should we join it there? Give it to Dyer and Davis. It's like Jason said there, 51-49. 51-49. Okay, so we'll do that. Go on, Frankie.
Probably two of the most written off players at club, and they've bounced back so strongly. So I think we give it to them both. Come on, lads.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, listen, we'll share that one out, but we must get a verdict, boys, on the final award of the night, and that is the player of the season. Now, we've got 4 options. Again, probably won't please everyone that we've only got 4. So of the 4, we've got Hugo Laurice that kept, I think, the most clean sheets that he's ever done at Spurs. I think was it 15, 16, boys? You might have to help me out. Is it 16 clean sheets?
Only behind Allison and Edison and above Mendy. Fantastic.
Yeah, so
16.
Yeah, for that reason alone, we have to have Hugo Laurice.
So two higher than Mendy. Do you know what I mean?
Incredible. Yep, so Laurice has to be in there. Of course, Heung-min Son, who comes off the back of winning the Golden Boot and just quite frankly being Mr. Tottenham when obviously we had the situation with Kane. He stood up and just, again, in terms of delivering, I think Sonny did that across the season. Harry Kane also has to get an honourable mention, bearing in mind the fact that we got to November, December, 1 or 2 Premier League goals by then, and the way he impacted our season. Impossible to leave out Harry Kane. And then finally, as you boys have touched upon here, Eric Dyer. I think, again, he's got to be in there for the player of the season. So, boys, final award of the night, 4 to pick from. Let's go through it. Let's start with you, Jace, on this one. For you, the player of the season, Jace.
I think you have to go Sonny, mate. It's, the quality of goals, the level of performances, the way he kind of carried the team in the early part of the season. As a threat all season. There were people at one stage saying he should be left out. He looks flat. He'd still turn up, score goals, still create assists, still his whole manner. And I loved his post the other day as soon as he was back in Korea where he said, miss you boys, Spurs official and that. So, yeah, I don't think, it's amazing that Kane has never actually won the supporters player of the season. I find that outrageous. But this year, I think you'd have to give it to Sonny. So, Sonny for sure.
Yeah, just on Son, I mean, like I said, there are 23 goals, 9 assists to make it 32 goal involvements in 35 Premier League matches. I mean, the stats of Son are quite incredible. Like we said, that those 27 goal involvements during the 24 league games he was available in, just amazing. 19 goals, 8 assists. Really hard to look upon Sonny. Let's go to Jamie. Jamie, for you, out of those 4, Sonny, Kane, Dyer, Laurice, who gets your Last Word On Spurs player of the season?
Yeah, no, 100% Heung-min Son. I mean, an amazing season, as Jason just said there. I think all the awards that he won. But, I think it's just criminal how underrated he is by kind of other supporters. At the end of the day, no one cares what they think. I just really, really hope that he's got the individual award to show for it now, and that's fantastic. I think we're all absolutely delighted for him that he's at least got that individual award to show for it. But I really hope that he can have that team trophy to show for it next season. I think he absolutely deserves it. I think his commitment to Spurs is unbelievable. And yeah, easy human Son this season.
Okay, let's go round and right. I mean, like we said about Kane, again, I've got these stats here with Kane. It was 1 goal in his first 13 Premier League games to then 16 in his last 24, along with 9 assists. So, I mean, again, when you think about Kane, 27 goals, 10 assists, was a team's top scorer again this season in all competitions. Man City, North London derby, big goals for Harry Kane. And who for you is your player of the season?
Sonny.
Okay.
I think when Kane weren't delivering, as you just rightly said there, Sonny stepped up. You know, who steps up when Kane has an injury? I'm not saying anything bad, but Sonny always steps up, and I think he deserves all the plaudits. I think Kane's been fantastic from November to now, but Sonny for me, mate.
Okay, Frankie, for you, is it a foregone conclusion?
Well, it is, but Rick, I'm going to have to go back on conversations that we had on his pod, and I hold my hands up. At one point, I was saying that he wasn't world class. His form was too patchy and sporadic. We had that debate. He did dip. He had that form. He's evolved as a player. His approach play isn't as great as it used to be. When he gets the ball from deep, it's not. But he's turned into a killer instinct finisher. And with both feet, he's so unpredictable. You don't know where he's going to go. He could bend it top corner either side. So the levels he's reached this season, the consistency beyond that very small patch, may I add, but he has elevated himself, in my opinion, into that world-class stratosphere. So I'm going to go with Sonny, but Harry Kane is still our best player at Tottenham. That is a fact as well. He's a better player.
Yeah.
The course of the season, Sonny has been, for me, as everyone's already said, the superlatives he deserves now, and the plaudits, because he's that player. But I will give an honourable mention to Dejan Kudasevsky. Because this guy came in and played his first game on February the 1st. He made 8 Premier League assists and 5 Premier League goals in 13 Premier League starts. That is outrageous. Those statistics, it's not just the numbers that he put up, but he's so much more intelligent and comfortable, and he protects the ball far more so than Lucas. And that enables the other players. You can see that Son loves playing with him and Kane loves playing with him. So he was only here for 4 months or whatever it was, but he deserves an honourable mention. And if we were going to say player of half the season, with Kane, obviously, he is right.
I think that's exactly.
I think as well, Rick. I mean, you know, we also talked about Romero in the group, didn't we? But the reason why Romero's not on the list is because we didn't really see the right Romero until after Christmas, and the season starts in August.
Yeah, and again, we have to make 17 games Romero missed.
Games.
17 games Romero missed. I mean, again, if you're, as Frankie said, I think if you're basing it on half the season or so, Romero, again, has to be within that thinking. He has to be, because he's been absolutely superb. Lee, let's come to you, mate. Let's find out from you who your player of the season is.
Well, somebody said earlier in the comments, viewers and listeners, obviously, but someone said in the comments, got to be a clean sweep. I think it was Jay, and it is a clean sweep because it is Sonny for me. I think he's been, he was the guy when the turmoil that was happening in the summer, it was absolutely embarrassing. The turmoil, 72 days without a manager, 7th, 8th choice manager, Kane wanting to go Man City, Gary Neville playing golf. This was an absolute disgrace for our great football club. And Sonny's like, I'll pen a new 4-year deal. I'll stick one in. Here you go. Here's my signature. Happy days. And then the season he's just had, absolutely outstanding. Like, absolutely love the bloke. And he is top in Mr. Tottenham. Like Liverpool, Bayern, whoever else, they can all come in from him. He ain't going nowhere. I'm telling you, he is Mr. Tottenham. Don't even worry about it. Don't even lose sleep over it, Tottenham fans. He is not going anywhere, and he fully deserves it. But again, honourable mentions as well. I mean, I think Romero's defensive diving header against Liverpool is one of my standout moments. It was just,
and there's been also some Ben Davies blocks in there. We have to say there's been some incredible Ben Davies blocks.
But Kudasevsky has been absolutely outstanding. I mean, I did a lot of research, in the Blue Book. Still got it here. Come on, you Spaniard. Right, so the Blue Book's here. And I've done a lot of research.
I thought it was a file of facts you still had.
No, it is the Blue Book. And in the Blue Book, there's loads of stats that come out of it around Conte's Chelsea, because it's a good comparison to make. Pedro on that right-hand side scored 9 goals and 9 assists in the league, in the title challenge that they won 16, 17 against us, right? When they got 93 points, I think I want to say, when Chelsea won the league. Kudasevsky, as Frankie just said, like 5 goals and 8 assists, and he's only been here 10 seconds. I mean, it's just literally unbelievable. He's 22, 9 months old, and Phil Foden. None of which, by the way, listeners and viewers, all of you can go for it right now, right? No one picks Son as their player of the season, right? PFA player of the season, right, whatever. He's not even in the mixer. No one talks about Kudasevsky as their young player of the year. No one talks about Kane making differences. Everyone else,
right, though.
Boyner, Phil Foden, Mo Salah, whoever else, Klopp manager of the year, all this stuff. I'm not sure anyone else could have taken Tottenham from 9th, 7 points behind Arsenal with a game in hand, by the way, Arsenal fans. Anyone in there tonight? No? 7 points behind Arsenal and a game in hand, and then turn them over and beat them by 2 points to get the top 4. I don't think anyone else could have done that other than Antonio Conte. So my honourable vote, if you like, obviously solid player, but without Antonio Conte, none of this conversation would be happening.
Agree. I think it's right. Listen, we give Son, rightly so, the last one on Spurs player of the season, but it's only right to close the show just to have a few words on you boys from Antonio and the difference he has made, because I think we all be honest and say, without Antonio coming in when he did, none of this would have been possible. We would not have seen the club in the Champions League. I'm not sure whatever league we might have been the way we were heading. I'll be honest, it was chaotic, crazy. It was really, really insanity at the time of that Man United defeat on the pod. I think we were all so low. So let's close it on Conte, rightly so. And just a few words on Conte and the difference he's made to the football club and how you're feeling right now as a Spurs fan going into the summer.
He's brought, as I said when we started talking, he's brought the fan base together. He's brought up back the belief that we've been crying out for. He's given players, and we've just mentioned the Dyers and Davises of this world, that extra step to be better players. And I'm excited to what he can bring for next season. We've obviously seen that Levy and the board are backing him now. They're letting him do his job, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be on this show beginning of next season, or even when we're talking about in the summer, with some real positive stuff. So I'm excited. As long as we can get rid of some of the deadwood at Spurs still. But I'm not going to go into that.
I'll tell you, and it's been a pleasure, mate. Wishing you all the best with a single.
Love you all.
Like I say, you download the single. Been a wonderful reaction to that, and looking forward to more and more advanced music to come. Frankie, let's come over to you. It only feels right, Frankie. The excitement of you on that night we did that Conte appointment show. You were beaming, mate, from ear to ear. Honestly, the smile on your face was just... honestly, you were so excited. How do you feel now, Frankie? 4 or 5 months on now, club back in the Champions League, looking to go big this summer. Just talk about Antonio, how you feel right now, Frankie. Just
justified my happiness because he's galvanised the club, as Anne said. The club was fractured. There was in bickering, Enoch in, Enoch out. The fans arguing in the stadium, which I saw earlier in the season. And he's brought the feel-good factor back to the club. I've never seen it. Even under the dizzy heights of Pochettino, I know we didn't win anything, but competing for titles, Champions League final, to me, they're tall heights. But I've never been in a stadium as a Tottenham fan, and after 5 minutes of a match, the whole crowd start singing Antonio. I've never had that with the manager. He's just unified everyone, and he's brought belief back. He's brought belief back from the players. The players have bought into absolutely everything that he's about, and he just personifies hard work, class. He's a genius. He's a smooth man as well. He's in his Italian designer clothes on the touchline with the best hair transplant I've ever seen, with his Mediterranean tan. Looks the business. He's got that edge to him as well. There's been a few little tear-ups on the touchline this season with opposition managers. He's got that to him, that prickliness, which all the big managers seem to have. And he's brought the club up levels. And I'm so excited. If we can keep this man happy with the infrastructure that's in place now, and we can back him properly, we've got the best stadium in the country in Premier League football. That training ground is just state of the art, one of the best hotels apparently in London, according to Jose, that goes with it. So his work base is as elite as it can get. He's starting to put together a group of elite players with the 1 or 2 that he had already. And as I said, it's all about now keeping him happy, giving him what he wants. And as Chris Cowling would say, the trophies are coming under Antonio Conte, as long as we keep him happy and give him what he wants. So thank you, Antonio Conte, for saving this club season and turning it around and making us all feel proud to be Spurs again. and we're keeping our heads up and not being sung about getting battered everywhere we go. He's the man that's changed it all. So thank you, Antonio, and I can't speak highly enough of the man.
And I must say, Frankie, also thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure having you back on Last Word on Spurs this season. If you've been with Last Word on Spurs in the early days, Frankie was around then, but we've bedded him back in as a regular. And it's been an absolute pleasure. So, Frankie, thanks for all the hours, mate, all the time. Honestly, loved it.
No,
and looking forward to having you back on.
The team and everyone. As I say, it's been a long absence, but I'm so happy doing this. Great bunch of lads, all Tottenham mad, and we do this out of love. So onwards and upwards for the club and Last Word on Spurs. And thank you, lads, all of you, and Ricky for having me back.
Pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. Jay, let's come over to you. Just a few words on Conte, how you're feeling right now, and the optimism for the summer, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the list of most improved players kind of says everything about him as a coach. I think the way that he's come in and transformed these players says a great deal about how he is. He's just an unbelievable coach. I think as well, he's a manager as well. You just know seems to get it right in those big moments. And, maybe that's the criticism we've had of Pochettino. We knew he was an amazing coach, but in those big moments, he just couldn't quite get us over the line. And a game that very much sticks out for me under Pochettino was when we were totally in control against Juve and we let that game slip. And I think we were definitely the better team on the night, but Juventus were just clever. And I think that's something I really wanted to see Spurs eventually become. And I think under Antonio Conte, we can become a very, very good team, but also a clever team that can get over the line in those big occasions. And I think that's exactly what Conte is going to bring. I think that also, as I mentioned, just the way he's improved so many of these players. I remember coming out of so many games this season and thinking, if we can perform like that with a team with a group of players like that, then I'm just so excited to see what he can do when he's got a team that's more in his image. And I think next season, honestly, it's going to be so exciting. I think the key point, as I mentioned earlier, I really think that he would not be sticking around if he didn't think he could win the league. And that's what I think, although whatever we think of whether we can or can't win the league, I think that we've got to know that Conte believes we can. And unbelievably excited for next season, and unbelievably excited for the transfer window as well.
Yeah, we can't wait. I know one man that can wait. He can wait a long time for the transfer window. The brilliant Jason McGovern. And Jason's been with me. I know, again, for people that obviously followed Last Word on Spurs just on YouTube, which has only been a year, me and Jason have been together. We have been together. Me and Jason have been for 7 or 8 years. I know you're probably thinking, how has this lasted? I've asked the same question at times. But honestly, Jason's been there with me through the very dark days of Spurs. We started on the
Jason signing of Serge Aurier.
Yeah, I think our first show together, Jason, was Kane. Kane's 50th Everton. What was that landmark? The Everton away game. Do you remember what it was?
That was the first Last Word on Spurs, but we were doing it before 100th. That, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. We were.
Before that.
Can I say something about Govan and the type of man he is? And this is my actual moment of the season. Let's take the football away on a human level. This man had friends in Thailand where he lived many, many moons ago, and they came over for the Tottenham Arsenal North London derby. They spent a fortune to get here and paid a fortune for a ticket. Now, one of his good friends showed up to the entrance to try and get into the stadium, and his ticket didn't work, and he was told that he's been had over. Jason gave him his ticket. The first North London derby, full capacity at this new stadium. He's been to 48. I understand that. He's been around the block. One of the oldest Spurs fans and one of the most loyal and dedicated. But to do that, what you've done was unbelievable. What a gesture and what a gentleman. And that deserves a mention. I know he'll probably be embarrassed that I've mentioned that because that's the type of man he is. He didn't do it for accolade. He didn't do it so everyone would say, "Oh, well done, Jason." He done it out of the goodness of his heart. And that, for me, is the real moment of the season on a human level. Massive respect to Jason McGovern. You're a proper man doing that, and well done. Good on you, Frank.
Yeah, honestly,
well done, mate.
Honestly,
I've had a lot of nice messages on that for that. So, like I say, it was my 42nd one, and they took care of me. So it was a no-brainer for me. I didn't think about it, and my good friend Andy, I had to persuade him to give up his ticket because there were 2 tickets that we needed. So special mention to my mate Andy as well that did that. But no, I'm looking forward. Conte's done a brilliant job. I think he's brought that excitement back. He's brought that looking forward to games back. And the biggest thing that he's done is persuade that man who sits upstairs to fully invest into the and buy into the whole thing about the next level of success for this club is definitely on the pitch. Maybe a little bit of that is circumstances that now we've got a full stadium, now there's no COVID, now that there's no stadium to build, now all the big infrastructure is done. Maybe it's the time is right, but I think it's still taken a special man in Conte to persuade Daniel Levy to say, right, I'm going to nail me colours to the mast, and we're going to go to try and be the club that, as fans, we all want us to be. And I think that's one of the unique things that Conte's done.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jace, mate, for the 6, 7, 8 years it's been, I know you've not wanted to do transfers. So...
No transfers, please. Can I just say, I hate the transfers. It's not transfers that I hate. I love the transfer when the transfer's done and they're holding up the shirt. It's the Fabrizio Romano speculation of 755 signings that are set to sign, preparing to bid, love this, love that. I said to Jamie Friday, I've linked Jamie to Sergio Reguilon's girlfriend, but he has no chance of getting her. No chance whatsoever.
Oh,
mate. Don't worry about that.
I must honestly, it's listen, it's always fun. It is always brilliant.
Is Frankie saving the electricity bill or what? What's that?
I'm sitting in the dark room on my way, aren't I? So the lights have gone out. I was in like a conservatory thing overlooking the lights have gone out, so.
Oh dear, Jason, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, Jason. Again, listen, the generosity of you is well received.
Cheers,
boys. Jamie Brown will be with me, hopefully, on some of the transfer shows this summer. Fingers crossed. Jay, thank you so much, mate, for all your commitment to Last Word On Spurs. It's been a difficult season balancing the athletics and your training and what's happening. So thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. It's obviously been an amazing end to the season. Yeah, I said the last fortnight of supporting Spurs has just been unbelievable. I think we've kept going up and up in terms of all the good news. And it just feels like a really weird time to be a Spurs fan. I don't think we've quite had all this good news. And I can see it continuing. Again, I always hold on to that thing that I really think Antonio Conte thinks we can do something special next season. And so do I. So, really looking forward to it.
Oh, man, mate. Thank you so much for all your time, Jay. I know it's not been easy, so thank you so much. And to the co-host, to the man who, I've got to say, guys, I am going away on holiday. It's not Ali goals. Probably nothing will happen now, probably. I'm going away on holiday for a couple of weeks, which means that McQueen will be at the wheel. If anything does break big, he's promised me that he'll try and cover it. Also, Lee's in Spain as well. So listen, dedication to Lee McQueen as well. The man's away in Spain and he said he'll do me a favour. And if anything breaks, he'll cover it for me. So, listen, let's hope the next few weeks are really exciting. Lee, to you, mate, thank you so much for all your time this season, beyond this season. You've done the last 3 or 4 years on Last Word On Spurs. The people love the blue book. They love the passion. They love the drive. They love the enthusiasm. Man, I know you love Last Word On Spurs. We've had people all throughout the globe telling us how much they love the show. And again, thank you so much for all your support. Lee, what a crazy season, mate. Thank you so much.
It's the crazy train, isn't it? All the Love Sport shows, when we did the Love Sport shows, and we talked about the crazy train and how it was going, and the ups and the downs, and the 518 days without signing, as Chris Callum was telling, and all that sort of stuff. Frank's gone in the dark room,
Frank's
mate.
gone.
I don't know where the light is. I'm trying to look for the lights.
What I actually want to say at this point, because this is the bit that no one really ever. You always thank everyone else. You always thank everyone else, but no one really gets to thank.
Yeah, Rick.
This geezer is ridiculous. The amount of work that this bloke puts in is just unbelievable. I never see any hate for you on any of the social medias, Rick. But if there is any hate out there, fuck it, warrior, because this bloke is literally different level. And wherever this show is going, and we know where it's going, but wherever this show is going, it's down to the one man, and that is Ricky Sacks, mate. So you have been absolutely. Oh, he's back. Frank there he is. So
sorry, I've ruined a nice moment because Ricky Sacks, he's very good at his job. He's fantastic.
He's very good, yeah. He's very good. So look, I mean, I've made a lot of new friends doing the show over the last 3 or 4 years, and actually, some might say that our paths would have never have crossed with Last Word On Spurs. And there's a lot of people with a lot of love in the comments, and the people that listen, and all the listeners' questions. The people that come up to me at the stadium, it's just phenomenal. The amount of people that come up to me. I go with my mates. We're like with Nick and Colsey and Steph and Crouch and all these guys, and they'd be like, and Dave and whatever. They'd be like, "Who's that?" I don't know. I don't know who they are. They're coming up to me, and it's just crazy. It's so good. I love it. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much for having me. And
coming on to what you're saying, Lee. Sorry to cut you there, but I was at a rental company on Tuesday doing some press, and a gentleman, massive office. He heard that I was there, obviously with the boys. He come running over to me, big fan of the show, and said, "Thank you." I said, "Sorry, mate. For what?" He went, "I'm a big Spurs fan. You boys get me through everything. Got me through the lockdown. Got me through after games when we've lost, when we've won, when we've drawn, and it was such a nice thing to hear." So I think it's Jordan. If you're listening and watching, mate, top man.
Great shout. I mean, there's so many people.
I'm checking the local police reports in Devon because Frankie's got no alibi for 2 minutes ago. He disappeared. If I find something happened out in that garden, Frankie, I tell you what, you got no alibi, mate.
It's like that Fools and Horses when they go fishing. He's gone on the outside toilet.
Frankie, what's all that blood up the wall behind you, mate?
Do you know what? That sort of ruined Ricky's moment, but let's just go back.
Sorry,
no, please, honestly, boys.
Puts this all together. He probably has. I can imagine his missus is on the cusp of a divorce, maybe because of the time he this show and other media things he does with Sky, and he's done Lad Bible and things like that before. So appreciate what you do, Rick. Everyone here.
Oh, boys.
And
thank you, lads. It's not doable, honestly, but it's not doable without, obviously, you guys and the amount of time you give for the show. And honestly, listeners, viewers, thank you so much for all of your incredible support. So, guys, that is the end of season awards. Listen, the team here delivering for us on a weekly basis, game by game basis. But like I said, I am taking a short break for a couple of weeks. If there's any breaking news, we'll have it covered on Last Word on Spurs somehow, somewhere.
We've got a couple of shows planned, right? Look, I'm not saying anything. There's a lot of CHFC flags and that Spurs song sheet's done some fantastic work. Tim Winston, brilliant stuff with the singing. I think we've got some stuff that we're going to work on. We've got some really good stuff behind the scenes with the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation that no other channel can bring you. So it's exclusive stuff that's going on in and inside the club and in and around the club outside of the first team football stuff. We've obviously got transfers coming with the likes of Jamie Brown from the Daily Hotspur, John Wenham as well from Lily White Rose. We're going to get Jason back on to talk about transfers. He loves him, really. You should see him on our WhatsApp group, listeners and viewers. I tell you, he's the first one. Oh, what do you think about that one, Jamie?
I'm going to join Frank.
But we've got some really good stuff. A massive thank you to our sponsors as well. Beavertown Corner Pin have been absolutely brilliant for us. We're going to hopefully do some live shows down there as well throughout the summer.
Mate.
Some going on down there as well. Some acoustics going on with the guys and the girls. So look,
we'll do it, son.
You know where to follow us, mate, on the socials.
We'll do that.
Just to add to that, fantastic venue to watch away games with. Ant and I watched with John Wenham. Watched the Liverpool away game there, and it was brilliant on the big screen. So shout out to down Corner Pin.
Please, if anyone sees Frank at Corner Pin watching an away game, please just stand next to him. That's all.
He done more minutes than Domble anyway, didn't he?
Mate, he was heading, he was running, he was jumping, he was doing all that. Why don't you pause? I was just watching you, Frank, for about 80 minutes. I loved it. So anyone at Corner Pin, go and stand next to Frank.
Hit the lights. That's the last one
I'm going to say
before we go for a break. Hit the damn lights. There are 1,000 people watching. It's criminal not getting. It's more criminal than Frank being in the dark for 20 seconds. I tell you what, hit the bloody lights, man. Get the lights on. Boom. Have some of that. If you like what you're seeing, hit the lights. Subscribe. Share it. Talk to your people about it. Get them on Last Word on Spurs.
I've got no doubt this show's going to be absolutely fine on the basis of that whilst I'm away. Honestly, guys, from Jason McGovern, from the brilliant Jamie Brown, from the wonderful Frankie Major, from the superb Anthony Costa, and from the takeover of Lee McQueen. Guys, please keep safe, keep well, keep the spirits up, and as always, come on you Spurs.